Do you like making money off sports betting? Well, you've come to the right place. Welcome to the very first episode of the Hot Action Podcast. I'm your host, Matt Kerr, and allow me a moment to introduce the concept of what we do here at the Hot Action Podcast. We're trying to take Vegas's money and put it in your pocket by delivering you top quality analysis on sports and sports gambling. And unlike many other options on the internet, I'm doing it for free. So it's not going to cost you anything to listen to the Hot Action Podcast. But in return for my free of charge analysis, I would like you to take part in the discussion. Tell me where you're finding your hot action. Tell me what you think of my analysis. So if you want to take part in the discussion, leave a comment. Or you can get at me through my Twitter or my email, which will be in the description. So with that out of the way, over the next 20 weeks, I will be analyzing the most popular sports gambling game in America, the NFL. I will be betting every game against the spread. I will be giving you my 5 best bets per week, and I will be participating in a survivor pool, which I will also be analyzing. Alright, so without any further ado, let's get down to it. The football season kicks off with Patriots versus the Chiefs. The Patriots are at home and they are laying 9 points. Now that's a pretty sizable line, but I think I am going to have to go with the Patriots because the Chiefs are a pretty good team, but they've got their flaws, and the Patriots just look ready to absolutely dominate for another year. I dislike them, but I was going to have to go with the rational decision here. I feel that the Patriots have the advantage in every phase of the game, offense, defense, and special teams. They have the advantage at head coach, and ultimately, they just have the best team culture in the whole of the NFL, in my belief. Like for instance, if there was a prop bet on over under how many Patriots players will kneel during national anthems this year, I would set the Patriots over under at 1, and I would bet the under. That's right, under. Next up, we have Bills versus Jets. The Bills are at home, and they are also laying 9 points, which I think is kind of an absurd line. I don't see this game being very high scoring, so that 9 points just seems like way too much for me. I'll be taking the Jets. Both of these teams kind of almost seem like they watch too much NBA and they think that tanking is a rational choice in the NFL, which I don't agree with. The Bills have shipped out Sammy Watkins and Mike Gillislee, and the Jets have shipped out Sheldon Richardson for draft picks, which I don't see how it could possibly help them this year. Tyrod Taylor's concussed. I don't see this game being very high scoring. Give me the points. Give me the Jets. Next up, we have the Atlanta Falcons at the Chicago Bears. This is the regular season debut for Mitch Trubisky. It should be an interesting game. Atlanta is laying 7 points. Atlanta may be in the throes of a Super Bowl hangover after that horrific loss at the end of last year. I mean, I still certainly have PTSD, so I'm sure most of the members of that squad do as well. That is an interesting wrinkle in this whole season for them, but I still see them beating Chicago pretty handedly in this game. So yeah, give me Atlanta -7. Chicago were one of the worst teams in the league last year, and I don't think adding a rookie quarterback is going to change that very much. Good luck to them this year, though. And after that, we have Jacksonville at Houston. Houston is laying 5.5 points. So we've got Tom Savage versus Blake Bortles. Neither one of these guys is great. I see this game being pretty low scoring. Both defenses are actually pretty good, despite Jacksonville being a total dumpster fire for many years in a row. Every year, people tell me that Jacksonville is just on the verge of getting better, but every year they have not gotten better. They just continue to be terrible. So I will say, you have to prove it to me before I'm going to be fooled by you again. Give me Houston. Houston minus 5.5. I think this is good. Houston's got J.J. Watt, who's been raising money for the flooding from Hurricane Harvey. I think they're just in a headspace where they're going to want to kick ass and take names. And if Jacksonville beats you in the first game of the season after all this storm, that's just going to add insult to injury. That's not good. They're not going to let that happen. They're not going to let that happen. All right. So next up, we have the Eagles at the Redskins, and the Redskins get 1 point. Which I think is a strange line to begin with, because the only time it ever affects the outcome of a bet is if the game ends in a tie, which almost never happens. So more or less, I say treat this like a pick'em anyway. But that being said, I'm going to take the home team, the Redskins. I think they're the better team. I think the line is slightly off here. I think Kirk Cousins has a slight edge over Carson Wentz, and other than that, these teams are fairly comparable. We need to figure out what Doug Peterson is as a head coach before I really comment on coaching advantages and that type of thing. Yeah, that being said, though, give me Redskins +1. That's my pick. All right, next up we've got the Cardinals -1.5 at the Detroit Lions. So this game seems pretty close to me. I mean, clearly a 1.5 point line that kind of agrees with me there. It's a pretty tight line, so I'd say kind of consider it like a pick 'em a game. But I will be taking the away team, the Cardinals. I think they had a great offseason. Detroit, they just paid Matt the Frat Boy Stafford more than any quarterback in the history of mankind. So that might be some contentious issues there. We'll see how it goes for the rest of the year. It could be real interesting. But yeah, Cards -1.5. Up next, we have the Oakland Raiders at the Tennessee Titans. The Titans are giving up 2 points, and seems like a weird line to me. I think that the Oakland Raiders should be a better team than the Titans. I realize the Titans are at home, but really, the Titans, they're another one of those teams that everyone thinks has gotten a lot better, but to me, they still need to prove it to me. So I'll be taking the teams like the Oakland Raiders that are kind of more tried and true until they prove it. Up next on my list, we've got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at the Miami Dolphins. Tampa is giving away 2.5 points to Miami. So this game's interesting because it might not get played according to a lot of people because of the incoming Hurricane Irma. But I'm just going to handicap it anyway. If the game doesn't get played, I'm just going to say it doesn't count. I'm not counting it if it gets played at a later date, obviously. I would say take the Bucs here. I think that they're a much stronger team than Miami this year. I just don't have any faith in Smoking Jay Cutler. He's just there to get a paycheck. Jameis Winston's there. He's got a career to save. Smoking Jay's already retired once this last 12 months. He'll retire again at the end of the year. He just doesn't have anything to play for, and he doesn't care about football. It's just the way it is. So give me Tampa. And now we've got Baltimore Ravens at Cincinnati Bengals. Cincinnati is laying 3 points to the Ravens, and I think that's pretty low, honestly. Cincinnati had a pretty good offseason. The Ravens are incredibly depleted. Cincy's at home. I say take Cincinnati all day, but they're also a team that you'll pick them, and then they'll be doing pretty good, and then they'll just throw it in your face because they just lose at the most inopportune times. So I'll take Cincinnati because it's not a primetime game, so they won't have primetime-itis like they always have. They never win in primetime, never bet on them in primetime. And for the final game of the afternoon, we have Steelers at Browns. Steelers giving up 8.5 points. And for me, this game, you really couldn't get the line high enough for me to pick the Browns. They appear to be another one of these teams that think that tanking is a legitimate strategy in the NFL. They gave up Joe Hayden to the Steelers, which is just like unbelievable. They got nothing for him. They just waived him, and like Do they not want good players on their team? Like, what is going on? I don't understand. I'll take the Steelers all day. I'm very confident. So the first game of the evening, we have the Indianapolis Colts at the LA Rams. The Rams are giving 3.5 points. Now, here is a scenario where I can't decide which team I will dislike more. They both had pretty terrible years last year, and I don't really see much of a reason why either one of them is going to be a lot better. Andrew Luck is not playing. Aaron Donald has not even practiced yet with the team. I think this is going to be a pretty terrible game to watch. But I guess give me the Rams. They have the home field. I'm not very confident about this one. I'm just sure it's going to be a bad game. And if you want to avoid gouging your eyes out by watching the Rams Indy, you can change the channel instead and watch the Seattle Seahawks at the Green Bay Packers. The Packers are giving 3 points, and this game I think is really close. Like, both of these teams could easily take the NFC. To me, I kind of like the points, but to be fair, I'm a Seahawks fan, and I really can't be trusted to properly bet on the Seahawks. I have a really big blind spot there. I'm pretty terrible at it. So with that in mind, I'm taking the Seahawks, taking the points. I think there's a chance they could win it. And in the third and final Sunday evening game, we have the Carolina Panthers giving 5.5 points to the San Francisco 49ers. Now, I'm fairly certain the 49ers are going to be god-awful this year, and the Panthers are going to be at least all right to good. Panthers, I think, 5.5. I'll take them right now. Until San Francisco 49ers prove to me that they're a good team, I'm going to put them right in the basement. So yeah, I'll take the Panthers at -5.5. And in the first Sunday night game of the football season, we have the New York Giants visiting the Dallas Cowboys. The Dallas Cowboys are giving up 4 points in this game. And it turns out our man Ezekiel Elliott is playing despite the ban being upheld for 6 games. It will be served later in the season. That's what I've heard. So with that in mind, I'll take the Dallas Cowboys at home. I think that this offense is going to be have another unbelievable year. The games that Zeke's not playing, they might be a little less, have a little less firepower, but I think they're a pretty strong team again this year. All right. That being said, the Giants have actually reloaded on offense, and their defense is quite stout. They'll be a pretty tough out for the Cowboys, and I think that the Giants might actually win their division, but I do think that the Cowboys will have enough to take them down at home. So strangely, this week we actually have 2 Monday night games. I don't know what that's about, but we've got the New Orleans Saints at the Minnesota Vikings and the LA Chargers at the Denver Broncos. All right, so I guess we'll start with New Orleans at Minnesota. The Minnesota is giving up 3.5 points, and honestly, I still like Minnesota at home. I am not sure about the Saints when they play outdoors or away from home, for that matter. The Saints usually put up pretty crazy numbers on offense every year, but I actually think that the Vikings are going to be a pretty good team again this year. So I'll take the Vikings minus the points. And when it comes to Chargers versus Denver, I'm actually not too sure what to think about this game. It's at Denver. Denver's giving up 3.5. And Chargers, last year they had the year from hell. Denver didn't do very well last year because they don't really have a proper quarterback. I think Chargers might be a pretty good spot to upset them on this one, but I'll take Denver minus the points. That defense is pretty tough to beat at home. And yeah, that's all the games for this week. All right, now that we've handicapped all of the games for the week, I'm going to go ahead and tell you that my best bets are Patriots -9, Jets +8, Oakland +2, Panthers -5.5, and Bengals -3. To me, those are the bets that I'm most confident about. And now on to Survivor. So Survivor, if you've never heard of it, is a type of pool where every week you just have to pick a winner. And if you fail to pick a winner, you are out. So basically, if once you've picked a team, you cannot use them again. So that means, say I picked the Patriots this week, they would have to beat the Chiefs, and then I can no longer use the Patriots again, or I'm out. If you make it to the end of the season, or the last man standing in the pool, you win what is left of the prize pool. Okay, so for this week, I am going to pick the Steelers. I think the best strategy is to go pick all the best teams early and give yourself hard decisions to make later on, because honestly, most people are out of the pool in the first few weeks anyway. I just want to say thanks to everyone for listening and sticking it out with me this week. My voice is all messed up. And I just want to say, if you guys have any questions, comments, feedback, or ideas for what I should talk about in the future, hit me up on my email or my Twitter that I mentioned earlier in the show. This has been the first episode of the Hot Action Podcast. This is your host, Matt Kerr, signing out and reminding you all that if it moves, you can bet on it.